Thanks, Linda. This is our special meeting, October 20th, 2020, 10/20/2020.
All right, here we are, just being together, breathing, slowing down, emptying our minds and filling our hearts, allowing silence to be here. And in that silence, we open to messages, insight, inspiration, guidance. As the five of us collectively tap into that higher source of information, we know that we will hear what we need to hear and speak what we need to say. And we bring it all together in music and love. So let's breathe in that love that winds us and binds us with this golden thread, bringing love into everything that transpires today for the good of the whole. And so it is.
Thank you, Linda. I just need to respond to this, but not seeing it. So let me tell him I'm not seeing it.
Well, while you're doing that, I'd just like to kind of check in and say that I get the urgency of supporting the team on Friday. So I'm all in for whatever we can do to, and you guys are, Shelley and John and Linda, you're so connected to what they need and what's being called for there. So just bring it on. Let's make it happen.
Well, let's open that up to the agenda for the day of what it felt like. It felt like we got interrupted when there was this really nice idea that Shelley brought into the field of doing that special retreat. And that's what felt like got interrupted when it was going back to whole systems conversation and what have you. So let's just all go around and presence what we feel is perhaps the priority for this time together right now, how we would like to see this time. And Glenn, I think that's what you probably just dropped in here, but let's go around. Sorry, I told Glenn that there's an urgent request that I had before I scheduled this that hasn't come through yet. It's just my son needs to have permission to be on our corporate phone account with the rep that he's talking to today to get a new phone. It's so silly, but I just have to okay it for this guy. So that's all. So, anyone?
I'll start. So, I had a really, after throwing my negativity into mentoring Stuart orientation, I had an amazing mentoring Stuart orientation this morning that actually went on for 2 hours. And Henry Lepler was absolutely amazing. There were only like 4 or 5 people on board, but it was probably the most definitive expression of mentoring stewardship that I've heard since I've been involved with Good of the Whole. And it addressed the core piece around the core of being a mentoring steward is, in fact, being in the resonant field and how to hold that space and how to move from that space. And the difference are the composite of organism and organization, and how necessary those two are, and yet have to come from the same place, which is the resonant field, or there is built-in separation into the process. So, as a matter of fact, when the whole time it was happening, I was thinking, okay, when we do, if we do, which I highly, highly recommend, and I've been telling people that we're going to do it, to do this 3 or 4 hour Good of the Whole wide offering for clarification, for allowing people to voice their concerns, whatever they might be. And then I would love to have everybody listen to, now I didn't record the very first part, which I could go over at some point, Henry's beautiful offering around, he's done a lot of research and studies on organism, organization, and he brought it to the table, which was awesome. And then we opened it up to the field around what it is to be a mentoring steward. And I had, for my first time, a brand new person come in. What is her name?
Charmaine.
That's it. And she had questions, and she was thrilled to get the information that she got, and dropped in under the umbrella of discord and problems into her saying, that is what I've been waiting to hear, and that's the solution. So I feel as though, and it came up very clearly and over, if we focus on the problem, we're gonna stay in the problem. If we move to the unified field where we're all connected from our heart space, the problems dissolve. It was really, I was very impressed with everybody's place in this. And so I still feel if we put together that little program and allow everyone to experience what we experienced in that call this morning, I recorded from unfortunately I didn't get Henry's, but I took good notes, and he has good notes. And he says, John, we've got to record this. I go right on and I hit record. And the rest of the time is recorded, and it is the most heartfelt, beautiful piece around what it is to be a mentoring steward. So that's kind of where I'm at today, the shift, and the expediency of actually offering this for me relaxed a little bit if we name for everyone that this, yes, is going to happen, and yes, we could even figure out a time when it's going to happen. We can put together the outline of it. We can get it ready to go, and then at a designated time, please everybody, if you have offerings, whether it is a concern or whether it is a clarification or whatever it is, or if you want to just come listen, I think a lot of the answers to the questions will be answered. And so that's kind of where I'm sitting.
Thank you, John. I would love to know where we can see the recording of that and to get the notes.
It's on the, I put it up into the, what do they call it, the cloud? So I don't know how to get it back.
I can get it on the cloud and turn it into a recording and send it out.
It was beautiful. I'm telling you, it was a lot of wisdom and heartfelt saying, you know, we're on track here, and I thought it was really good.
Can you tell us who was on that call this morning?
Uh-huh. It was myself, Henry, Charlemagne, is that her name? Charlene?
Charlemagne.
Charmaine,
Charlemagne. Charlemagne.
right? Susan,
Yeah.
I don't know Susan's last name. David Vorzimer. Jess, although Jess didn't speak, she just listened. There was one other one. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. But those were the key players, which was great because it was like old school, good of the whole, new school, good of the whole. And there was a beautiful unification that happened. And actually Shelley came on toward the very end. Yeah, I think it's, you know, at least, I mean, I've been listening to the last 2 or 3. I listened to the Friday Connection Field team. I listened to the 1, 2 or 3, and I feel like the energy field is moving in the right direction, but there's no question that when we are connected in resonance, the correct path shows up. No question in my mind. Let me just say, I will type this up, Linda, and give it to you. Here's what Henry brought, and it was so beautiful. He said, I've been researching this. He says, I've been to a couple of different sources because it's been on my mind and my heart. And he just gave these words out around these 2 pieces. Organism. An organism has the energy, has ecstatic energy. Coming from the heart, includes intuition and the feminine principle. Organization, and is dynamic in its process. Organization is legitimately static, comes from the mind, is a describer of what happens in the organism, but is not the organism itself. And I thought that was really brilliant. So before we can get to organization, we embody the organism and we hold that field. Oh, and it's also male or masculine oriented, the organization is, versus the organism being feminine, which was beautiful. So that was the, and he said, so maybe what we need to look at is what maximizes the activation of each of those 2. But he said, and I agreed, and a lot of what happened from there around mentoring, stewardship, and so forth is to really get clear about resonance and the heart and the organism before we can really be effective in the organization. This made sense.
It does make beautiful sense. And I love the suggestion of a 3 or 4 hour go the whole open program for mentoring stewards. And how will that be different from our Wednesday mentoring steward call? Like, how will we present this to the greater good of the whole community?
What I saw happen this morning is a progression, okay? And in that, the organism precedes the organization. I feel those beautiful pieces that Shell brought in yesterday to spend the first part of the offering really, really grounding in the importance of the unified resonant field. And that also got included this morning, which was great, is if you focus on the problem, you continue the problem. And so what resolves the problem is the greater wisdom and love that comes through the field, and to allow us to be informed so that we understand the difference between the information coming in and the formation of what we have in the problem. Because, you know, obviously between those two, you know, if we try to solve the problem with what we know and what's causing us internal strife without opening to the resonant field that we trust has the answers, then we stay in that turmoil. And so for me, I feel like, you know, spending even an hour in resonance and bringing that through, and how being a mentoring steward is about holding that field. You know, when we go into hosting an hour, whether it's a residence lounge or whatever, it's like, that's our job. That's our job, is to let go of any dissension, any offline pieces that might take us out of it. And how do we as mentoring stewards hold that space, which all of us do well because we've been doing it for a while. But there are a lot of people out there that feel like they're in resonance, even if their heart is not. It's so funny. I don't want to ramble here, but I hardly ever check into the fire thing. I listened to the fire piece this morning, and it was really beautiful from the standpoint of, it was focused, it was earth centered, it was fire centered, and it was specific, a specific gift that resonated with the group that was there. It is a piece of the whole, and it is not of the whole. And a couple of people that came on, I you know, just said that it was really, really beautiful. And yet the tenor of it, and naming names doesn't really feel good to me, but like, okay, Julie Down, there were a couple others, felt like it was a separate entity. And yes, the woman that I'd never seen before that started out said, this is a presentation from good of the whole. We're coming from the resonant field, and yet the rest of it was really focused on, this is our piece. And I did not feel in my heart its connection into resonance with the good of the whole. It was like there was an ownership of it being apart from. I may be wrong. That was just what I felt. So my sense is that this 3 or 4 hour piece is about, you know, let us hold the resonant field that is the core of good of the whole. And then what we bring in is a reciprocity of the gifts and talents being held by the whole, not by the individuals.
So, John, was it a distinction maybe that you would make between, perhaps the fire was more of like a presentation as opposed to just a holding a space?
It's extremely,
direction?
it's a beautiful ritual. It's a ritual. And the ritual, I thought Amani did a great job, really did a really wonderful job describing 4 elements of fire. The fire that we light to cook our food and heat our houses, but then the transformational fire that is the core of the heart that brings through the new vibration. It was really well done. But outside of that first piece, there was no real connection by anyone else back into this is a reflection of the core wholeness of good of the whole. And I just feel like, and I think Julie has a nice following, Julie Down. I never get that connection from her back into the whole. But that's why I don't like to say any of that, because, you know, I'm listening with my filters, and I try to drop those. But I just feel like the big thing is that not everybody's on the same page yet. We're just not all on the same page, which leaves a lot of gaps and error in between for people to interpret according to structures and systems that they have used that may be outside of resonance with good of the whole. And so I feel like a 3 to 4 hour unification time would really help bring everyone into the holding container, the hub of good of the whole, and maybe offer a little bit more resonance, basically.
Can I just keep following that thread? Because I have another question about this. And it goes back to one of the things that Andrea was suggesting, that we, as Executive Leadership Council, go through some processes of conflict resolution and cultural sensitivity. Is this something that we feel we should go through and then have this 3-4 hours, so that we have an experience of it that we can share in this 3 to 4 hour unification, time of unification, or whatever we call it?
You want my input on that? Okay.
I'm bringing up, you know, what Andrea had said, so I'm just
I know, I
reading
understand.
that through.
If you guys listen to that meeting this morning online, the key to conflict resolution is to come into the unified field together and open our hearts to each other and feel that, and have the direct experience of that. And then all of the systemics, the systems that I used to do around conflict resolution and team building and all of that, I don't feel that.
Okay.
When the 5 of us are truly in that field and coming from our heart space, and that happened this morning, the whole attitude changes. It's no longer, there are no longer individuals dealing with other individuals. And so I still feel personally that creating, co-creating, and being in that field together, that the mission. David asked Shelley this morning, Shelley, will you please read the mission statement of good of the whole? And she read that, and everybody got silent. And it was like, will that stand up? And it was agreed, that will stand up. How do we come into alignment with that? And what do we have to dissolve and let go in order to have that? And if we have that, then the next processes will show themselves. If we focus on conflict, we're going to stay in conflict for a while, regardless of the techniques and dynamics that we have traditionally used to try to dissolve it. It's a much longer process. It's only my opinion.
I will just add in here that I think a reframing of this medicine is really what we're looking at and inviting, John, is to say that you could tell in Andrea's suggestion to do the conflict resolution, I said, I don't want to do conflict resolution. I'm a psychotherapist. I've done it with, and I said, John's a psychotherapist and Lynn's a healer and Shelley's done emotional integration. We don't need conflict resolution. She said, yes, you do. So you could tell, she said, I know you're all therapists, but my knowing is that a field of resonance, my knowing is that love heals every body. My knowing is that resonance can heal, and that I'm going to take it a step farther from where you're at, John, and talk about coherence, because this is what we're talking about in community, is greater coherence. And I'm just like, I'm popping on what you're saying is, if we focused on conflict, it'll be around for a long time. That's why I said on Monday on resonance, I'm tired of being invited to look at what's wrong. We're done. I'm done with it. I'm done with it on a small scale, and then on our planet. It's just fatiguing. And so I just got off with Greg Braden and Jude Currivan, and Greg said that very thing. Like literally, Greg said we could either contribute to greater chaos or we can contribute to greater coherence. What do we choose? So it's not even oh, it would be nice if we all created greater coherence. This is the new science, and we can drive this home with the voices of people like Greg Braden and Jude Currivan, and invite this into the community, that literally you can focus on the chaos, but go over there and focus on it, because we're going to focus on coherence and what do we need and how does that help, and what are my blocks, what are our relationship issues, what do we need to do to continue to focus on greater coherence and be a part of the solution through resonance with the unified field of intelligence that we're talking about, and really deepen into the embodiment of that. Or we could be a part of the chaos and keep focusing on what's not working. And so even to have it be a deep listening session, which I think they need to be heard, I think we need to invite them into speaking their truth, but we need to hold it in the framework of being solutionaries in coherence and resonance, and understanding what the field can do to heal this, to transcend that. Even the connection field team meetings perhaps need to begin to hold it in that perspective. And I think a lot of what we owe to the connection field team is for them to really understand how we have held this as an organism for 8 years, and that this is a transition time of incredible growing pains. Like literally, it was this exponential, huge explosion of growth that happened in March, because we said we need to create a space where people can come and feel safe and be heard and be connected and not be isolated during COVID. And so when that happened, and then Brother Phil came in, it was like the perfect storm. So they need to put that into context, but not slip into the old consciousness. And that's a lot of what's happening, is people revert to the consciousness of separation, and then they're into the old dynamics, and that doesn't point toward the coherence that we're really inviting here. So so thanks for that feedback. It's interesting that Henry brought that through. I don't know if anybody else knows that's how we've held this for this long, but you know, our resistance has been not becoming an organization, because we wanted to make sure that we were really that embodied organism. And so that's exciting that he did all that homework and brought that forth. It's exciting. So with that, I'm complete.
Also, one other piece I forgot, the other player was Miranda. And she's having a life-altering, changing experience with Good of the Whole. And she attributes a lot of it, Linda, to coming on and to your Mala, is that?
Mala.
Yeah, thank you. In the evenings, and carrying that through, and then coming into residence. And I'm telling you, I kind of looked, I saw her and felt her a month ago, and she has become a she understands the liquidity of the resonant field, of the energy force itself. And she helped tremendously during this time, just being that innocent, loving energy field itself in such a way. And it was like such a great example of, I wanted to, I kind of did say it, but not this directly, is that all of the people that are having discord, rest for a moment in silence and feel what this spirit, the transformation that's happened, and what has become, because she came in and she was frazzled and she was scared and she was stressed and she was going, and she was, her whole body was kind of, and now she's just absolutely beautiful and radiant and has moved into living her life from the field itself. That's the transformation. And with that transformation, any problem, any disgruntlement, anything on the outside that happens gets dissolved into this being. Now, can we stay there all the time? No, I don't know anybody that can do that. However, having that direct experience, I'm sitting there going, oh my God, here it is right before my very eyes, the proof positive that what we're doing is absolutely on track if we stay the course ourselves.
I really appreciate you
Well,
saying that, John, about, oh, I'm sorry, Glenn. About that we stay on the course ourselves. And I'm not real clear on the Connection Field team Friday meetings and what Shelley's position is and what my position is and what Amani brings to the CF team, what Julie Down is offering to coordinate all of everything. So I needed that reminder, John, because the last couple of Fridays going into the Connection Field, it was like, okay, we have a team meeting, let's get things, what needs to be done. And it could have been more conscious effort to stay in resonance with it. Yeah. But saying that, they still spoke, we gave them a platform to speak and that they were heard and they had their concerns. And you're right, and we don't want to focus on all of those things, but I would like to feel that we're taking something concrete back on Friday to say, we heard you, we brought it up at the ELC, and this is how we're going to resolve whatever it is. Some of it is technical things. Some of it are questions about what is it to be a mentoring steward? And I think you've said it, John, you're creating this what do you want to call it, vessel, this program. And I love the idea. And I would love to see that, on the calendar, get a date, put it in there and tell people this is it, come to it.
I think if we do that, if we just take that step, if we commit ourselves to that step, we don't have to do anything else immediately to remedy any situation. I really felt that the energy was, let's have, let's, can we trust that that the governing body, which I still don't know about, but anyway, has made a decision and is going to address where we're at. Well, I already feel like, again, resting where we have sacred authority together is the model for all of those defined concerns that are really replicating each other. I don't care who it is, what they're saying, it's the same energy. And so we don't have to address each one separately. If we say on November 1, whatever, we are going to hold a forum for everyone to come into a space where they can share where they're at, and underneath that, hold the space for the unity. And I feel like if we just make that determination, everybody's going to jump on board. Just a guess.
Thank you.
So Shelley, where are you at? There's a lot of tension in the space and silence. Are you want to jump in here?
Actually, one of the most, I don't know what you're talking about, tension in the space, but for me, the silence has been one of the most powerful things today, actually. And it lasted for quite a long time inside of the Resonance Lounge. And and I'm here to listen because I trust the resonant field, and I trust it's going to reorganize into its highest potential, as it always does. And I went and listened to the beginning of the Monday call, where I was describing resonance and coherence and talked about cymatics, and as John's been speaking, I know it's on course. I know the field. It's like it's directional. It knows itself so well that those things do get worked out. And right now, everything that's been said here is everything that I live by. And and the organizational pieces obviously have to be put in, but I still hold to the fact, without understanding and experiencing the direct experience that's being talked about here and becoming more conscious about here what that resonant frequency is and how it works, then things will, things are always going to come into that spherical movement. And it was really interesting to me today because I just came off a call with the Sacred Earth Council. Now, it's nothing I've ever been on before. And lo and behold, Brother Phil shows up on the call. And I have it was the most, and their whole focus is helping people be present with the mystery. That's what they call it. And it was the most amazing thing because he starts talking about, without saying the word Jose, he starts talking about the whole situation to them. And I'm sitting there going like, what? And he starts describing what happens when that happens and what happens to a community. And he starts describing his situation. And I'm sitting there sort of like, whoa. And he's describes what happens to people when they are feeling offended and feeling, the refractionary particles of that experience. And it was just really interesting to me. And I realized something else, and I don't know how this fits into that day or whatever, but we have an amazing tool sitting right in the connection field, and it's the talking circle. And it's different than resonance, but the capacity to give everyone a way to speak is very powerful. And without coming across that, so, because I think there's a real, you know, if you say to a group that's uprising and having really personal problems and issues that you're going to allow them to speak, they're already going like, they're already focalized on that. And I was realizing, like, he even talked to me about it personally, and he could tell, he was like looking right through me. And he was asking, like, so what's going on in the connection field? And I could hardly talk. And he said, make use of us, Shelley, make use of us. And I realized, wow, it's sitting right in the connection field. And amazing grandmothers and amazing Joan Henry and amazing, like, it could be a piece of that day where those ones could be heard, but in a way that is evolutionary and ancient at the same time. So I don't know how that works because I haven't sat in all that many circles, but I felt like, oh my God, the universe is handing over another piece that's sitting right in, you know, sitting right inside the connection field. So, you know, for me, I'm just really listening. I'm behind. I believe in not focusing and going directly to the problem and giving them something that's going to raise their frequency so that they can experience the love that they actually came in and experienced originally, the safety they came in and experienced originally, because that frequency, that resonant field was held so impeccably. And not just by me, but each one of you and the people, the Janamas, you know, all those people who've held the frequency for so long. And yeah, you know, the organization piece is important. And I know I'm not that one to help work that out. I have feelings about some things. I want to understand some things. But I am just praying that the field, you know, that we can follow this golden thread, because I really believe in it. And it's going to also give us, if it works, given that it works, and I believe it will, we're going to have a team like no other community has a team, because they're going to get it and they're going to relax. And I think they're kind of like Jess was typing into even after you left, she was typing in, you know, kind of reflecting back, not her fear, not her anger, not her scaredness, you know, or not feeling safe. She was typing in something very different. And I think that we can hold it and create a half-day program where they feel, you know, invited into, let's learn together about, you know, distributive leadership. Let's learn together about resonance, you know. And so I'm behind that. And I thank you guys, because this has been really intense for me to come back into. And in fact, my back went out last night after the call. That was crazy. And I'm not going to, you know, I'll just end with this, which is really interesting. In 2017, I had worked in the consortium for 2 years with people only in resonance, building the resonant field with these ones that kept coming in and, you know, weaving their way. And at one point, when, actually, it's funny, when the organism went a little, it did not as much as good as the whole, but it went into more of an organizational structure that needed money and they needed to put in money. It was the same exact experience. And they kept saying, we want a democracy, this should be a democracy, and this should be consensus. We need to do consensus. And they were like uprising. It was amazing. It was the same kind of experience. I completely, last night, I was like, oh my God, wait, this is, and it was really hard. And I stood up and I said, no, we're not going backwards. We're not going backwards. We're going to stick with the resonance. And it took, that book got put down, and then and now it's picked up by the most amazing team of people who get resonance. And it took, you know, and it's amazing. And that quality, I think it's a quality, you know, it just end there. It's a quality of you know, you know, Julia, look, you are so right. I learned my lesson about you know, foundational, you know, pieces, structure that needs to be in place, you know, absolutely, you know. And this piece is, it's everything. So I'm with you all if that's the direction you want to go. I won't go into doing the same thing. I'm not going to do conflict resolution. I've done stuff like that. I'm not going to do it. And I believe in the new wine in a transformed, transmuted old skin. So with that, I'm complete.
I want to speak to that because I think that's important, that for 7 years or more, seems like 3 decades, that Shelley reminded me that I've been adamant about saying I won't put the new wine in the old skins. I can't, I won't, I can't, we can't. And every time that we would try to create form and structure out of the organism that was living, dynamic, and heart-centered and ecstatic, and yes, and it's like the organism can't be put into a box. And so for a long time we held good of the whole in this place, saying what's here, what's evolutionary, we're right on that evolutionary edge, we're holding this, and this is the future medicine, this is where we're going, this is really what the world's calling for right now, this is it. No question in my mind. And so how do you hold the new wine when there are no new forms and structures to put it into? And we looked, and you know, we studied several forms and several new people and several different theories and different organizational structures and different management systems, and nothing was feeling right. And so I just want to say this for Shelley's benefit, who just had said that the transformed, transmuted old skins, that when we became a nonprofit, that was putting the new wine in an old skin. A nonprofit organization is a legal entity in the United States, and it was an old skin. And so part of what I believe has been one of our greatest challenges in this time right now is evolving the old skins, just like every other form and structure on the planet, just like every other system and structure that's in breakdown, breakthrough, is it's time. And the B Corp isn't there yet. The nonprofit's not there yet. But like Glenn will probably say to all of us, we are doing some pretty creative new things within that structure. And I think that's an important piece of what we're really holding right now. And like Shelley says, if we stick with that piece, the team we have will be exceptional and evolutionary. We're building a superorganism, and not a lot of organizations out there or networks of networks out there have this piece of what the practice of resonance is and how to build greater coherence within the organism, and understanding the designing intelligence, understanding the impulse of evolution, which is what we're attuning to through resonance. So our language, and perhaps I was thinking about this after Monday, I went in and I wrote the four new revolutionary agreements that I would like to add. And as I was listening to everybody on Monday, I was like, oh, here's the 12. Thank you, Marian. Here's 4 on resonance. And I think they're really important because it deepens us into our evolutionary purpose. And that's what will make a difference. even those who are writing on reinventing organizations and looking at commerce and entrepreneurial guidelines and corporations and business, those people who are at the evolutionary edge of that still don't hold this piece. I just had them on my show 2 weeks ago, the best of the best. They're still not holding that piece. They're acknowledging the evolutionary purpose. They're acknowledging whole world view. And they're acknowledging distributed leadership as the 3 core principles. But they don't get the coherence and the resonance piece. They're still not there. And that's what we can bring. That's what we can hold. That's what we can honor. Because I do believe, and I'm just going to say the evolutionary impulse, adding that piece in, those 3 pieces. It's more than an evolutionary purpose. It really is understanding the impulse of evolution as that designing intelligence and attuning to that as we're holding a resonant field and creating greater coherence within everyone. When we attune to that and allow that to lead us, we're not a bunch of people in a boardroom trying to make a profit. So anyway, I just wanted to drop that in when Shelley said that the old skins in an evolved, transmuted new way is we do have to really acknowledge right now that we did put our new wine in the old skins so we could move forward and have a language and a foundation in this world for fundraising and moving forward right now. And we will evolve that old skin. We are evolving the old skin, and we're playing and being creative and listening. And I do think it will take the intention and the energy to transmute it. And I don't think it has to, just like I would say conflict resolution, keep doing resonance, keep holding that field. I think that it will transmute itself. It will evolve into a really beautiful new skin, an evolutionary new skin. But we have to acknowledge the gap in the old skins and maybe oil up the leather or something to help soften that and gentle that. So anyway, thanks for bringing that back in, Shelley. And I'm complete.
Wow. Thank you, Shelley, and thank you, Julie. You know, we've been meeting for how many years? And it seems like today, everything, like Shelley said, I'm trusting the field. Today, it is falling into place so deeply for me, because before this call, I was feeling like, well, where are we going? We can't, what's stuck in the gear. And I wasn't focusing on a problem, but it felt like a problem. And I just felt like, oh my gosh, I have no more time to do this because I've lost myself in good of the whole, and maybe I need to get back. But what you just said, Julie, is why I am here. And it is to keep this new practicing resonance and building coherence for the new organization. And it's like we understand it and the world hasn't caught up to it. And it feels frustrating because the old is still banging us in the head. And yet we know something. We know how beautiful, the more beautiful world our heart knows it's possible, is possible. And we are doing it. And if we stay together, if we're coherent, it will just get stronger. And if we can transmit this to the new people who are coming in, and we are doing that. It's not an if we can, we are doing it. And I think this is one of those examples of when the going gets tough, don't just walk away. Stay the course. and keep doing our own practices so that we are mentoring ourselves and we're mentoring each other into stay the course. We are building literally new connections in our brain of how to be coherent in the world instead of chaotic. My God, the world needs us. And it's been like, it's been confusing at times. And I could see where people in the field who've just met Good of the Hold from the connection field, that they can feel confused. But this today has felt so coherent to me. And I don't know why it's clicking in. You know, why does sometimes we hear the same thing over and over and over and over, and then boom, something makes more sense. And going back to what Henry was saying about organism and organization, an organism being the feminine, the new that's rising, and the organization being the masculine that's been there. And moving into this new transformative place where the divine feminine and the divine masculine are coming together is where Good of the Whole is now becoming this new both and transforming both of it. Does that make sense? It's like the organism is changing, the organization is changing, and we're pulling the best of that and merging it together, the best of both, to make something brand new. And birthing is not easy. Julie went through all of that. You know, not all of us have been through it, but it's not easy. It's sometimes painful and hard, but yeah, what emerges is this new way of living, this new way of being on the earth. And I just pray that we have enough energy and enough resolve and enough desire, heart's desire, to make this so strong that we get caught in a tsunami and let people know what's happening. We're trying to find language to something that has never been languaged this way before. And then we're trying to walk it and live it and embrace it. Like you say, people can talk about it, but they're talking about it. And I think I just felt that today, as much as we've always talked about it, that right here, right now, we're walking it. I feel it. I feel something shifting. Maybe it's just in me. But I was thinking of, before this call, what is my compass of joy? You know, did I lose it? Where is it? I love the Japamala. I love that time. What is my compass of joy, and how can I contribute to Good of the Whole? And I think it is being this anchor that's very flexible. It's an anchor that can float where it needs to go. So I thank you for letting me share that. I just wanted to bring that in. Just really grateful for all of you for what you've said today. And now I want to hear from Glenn.
Well, at the risk of bringing in a little organization, would it serve to add to our benefits for mentoring stewards a quarterly 3-hour or 4-hour time together every quarter, where we explore coherence? And Jude comes in, and Greg, and others that come in as resources and offer perspectives, and we just allow those perspectives to show up, evolve, impact us in ways that we don't have a clue how it's going to do, but we create a space for the benefit of ourselves as mentoring stewards and everybody in the community of mentoring stewards. And that could be an interesting exploration, and the content of which evolves. But the organization is the time and place and hours. I mean, there's a dance there for some form of structure that holds that space, and that becomes the place for a time. Some of that time is being, some of that time is listening, some of that time is silence, some of that time is, oh, that's an interesting new idea. I hadn't thought about it that way. I don't know. Just a thought if that might serve our community and ourselves.
May I share a screen? I don't want to get off into that, but I want to embellish. I was thinking the organization, but the idea of mentoring stewards, what are the benefits? And we've been holding that. And I think I mentioned to you a couple of weeks ago that how I've seen the global transition team and those benefits I just brought into the mentoring stewards to see how they fit. And I just want to share the Trello board with you and invite us all to play with this idea. So coming back to our executive leadership agenda, maybe that's Executive Leadership Council agenda. Maybe it needs to be called the working board or something so we feel like we use this. But I just wanted to presence this that Linda and I talked about. We got to get the mentoring stewards up on the website. So we're going to put the bios and the pictures here so that we can grab them all in one place and they're not in 30 different emails, because right now they're in 30 different emails. So uploading them right here, just like this, there's Linda, there's her bio. And it will be really easy for us to grab and work on the website. So the community materials, I just wanted to say right here is mentoring steward benefits. And I added this, Glenn. And so what I did is I just came in here and wrote down at the bottom, oh, I didn't save it. Let's see if I need to hit save so it shows up here. You just said, how about a quarterly meeting or a retreat for everybody? And what does that look like? So we could put this out, but here's a bunch of ideas of what are those benefits. And I was thinking about this earlier this morning too, when we talked about these, I think we mentioned Martin was one of them Monday that doesn't want to pay to work, and people are resisting becoming a mentoring steward because they see it as paying. And it's like, holy cow, it's almost like the opposite is the truth. And no one's getting paid here, but look what they're getting for even being a part of the organization and coming into the connection field and being able to put their gifts in service of a greater whole. It's like there's so much here that we could flesh this out more. And so this is just ideas of what I've put down. I encourage you all to come here and play in this and add your comments. We can have conversation here, write a comment, we can talk back and forth, we can play with this one. But to me, I see tons of benefit. And I do feel like it is the new education. It is the new continuing education model for all of our professions. John and I have been psychotherapists, and if we were going to have a license with the state, we had to do continuing education. I think every licensed professional, whether you're in finance, insurance, or, it doesn't matter what you're licensed to do, everyone needs continuing education. And this is an essential piece that everyone needs in every vocation, in every sector of society. So you can look this over. We don't need to spend a lot of time here unless you really want me to go in there, but I just want to show you these pieces that I've added to the board that I encourage you to come. This is the 4 guiding principles, which I was calling the Trinity of Wholeness. But in the Trinity, we don't talk about this central piece in the center. I think we do have to identify our values and put them into play. So this is just that definition of what we put out there that some people loved and a few said, I think it was Glenn said, it's just too wordy or too heady or too whatever right now. And then just some support materials. Also, here's the revolutionary agreements. Here is the 4 new agreements that I added. Under resonance, I agree to attune to the experience of my inherent wholeness and create resonance with the unified field of designing intelligence. I agree to live in shared purpose of conscious evolution, realize my unique evolutionary potential, and live for the good of the whole. I agree to co-create the conditions for whole systems health and personal, cultural, and planetary healing. I agree to connect and work with others in great coherence to expand a whole worldview and evolve consciousness that is guided by our inherent unitive wholeness. So these reflect this. I mean, not this, this. Those agreements reflect this primary teaching that I think we all can get behind. And then right here is the rest of the 12 agreements. We can tweak them. That's how they're designed. Right, Glenn? They're designed so we make them our own, so that we say this would feel better or richer or more creative. Linda's a certified trainer teacher now. We have resources we can bring in this to help them. I think these are just pieces of understanding that when we give that to all of our mentoring stewards and all the connection field team, that they'll feel like they belong, they'll get it, and hopefully they could see themselves within it. And I do just want to acknowledge, I do think I wrote to Shelley this morning, we don't have a culture of appreciation and gratitude and celebration. We don't, this is up to us as the Executive Leadership Council, that we create a culture of that. I, just like when you were saying, where's my compass of joy, Linda, there are days I think I need to resign and get out of the way so the organism can do its thing. And more minutes than not, more days than not, I don't feel valued and appreciated by the organism or the organization. And I don't do a good job sharing my appreciation of others. And so I do think that this is part of our work in a distributed leadership model and in creating these constructs that are important, that are the medicine of our time. How do we deliver it with joy and gratitude and ease so that everyone just is having fun with it and can see themselves inside it and want to perpetuate this, want to be prolific as seeds of this new consciousness. So we can cultivate the field, you know, part of our mission, right? To cultivate an ethos of wholeness. We can cultivate the field for an ethos of wholeness. But if we're not tending to those seeds with the joy and the delight so they proliferate, we just have a cultivated field. And so here we are. So I just wanted to drop that in on our board. To me, the board is, Trello is a really great tool for me to start doing my work, to find things, to keep them all in one space, to share, so to me, it's working. If it's not working for everybody, we need to adapt and learn how to communicate and store and connect. But to me, I just wanted to share that Trello board because I put those there, and I think we do have mentoring steward benefits if we all start playing with that. And I agree, Glenn, I think a quarterly meeting is a great benefit to put out there. And I'm complete.
I want to jump in on that. So many things. I mean, so many things. One is the 4 agreements that you wrote there are exquisite. I put myself into a rookie position, and I read those to myself as a rookie. I go, what the hell does any of that mean? I switched that to a senior, and I would go, what an incredible outline for an amazing workshop. What a beautiful format for bringing resonance and specific and unique gift development toward expansion of the good of the whole. So we kind of understand that language. Somebody coming into good of the whole and wanting to become a mentoring steward without grounding that will not understand that. My point for saying that is that, love what you said, Glenn. Quarterly, we have the opportunity, and I go back to what I can't even remember now what it was. I said, here we have the thing that we could do for mentoring stewards is to make it a prototype for the future educational processes that we can take into the world. But we have to start at home. And so I'm definitely open to put some time into that. And I feel like the start is we've been given the opportunity with this connection field thing and these people going, we'll go, okay, here it is, baby, right here in front of us. And we can do something. All right, on the tail of that, I was just feeling this organization. What has an organization been, the old wineskin forever? And was drummed into my being a man. Well, come on, fella, one step at a time. Put the next foot in front of you. One step at a time. Yes, but the resonant field is not asking for one step at a time. We're taking a freaking leap. And a lot of people, that scares the hell out of them. What do you mean leap into surrendering all these beliefs and all this stuff that I have? The only thing that I know how to know myself is to hang on to this stuff. And so we're asking something really big. And yet, once the direct experience of it, oh my God, yes, what I've been waiting for. Thank you, thank you. It shifts my life immediately. And so we have that gift to offer. The organization may for a little while be one step at a time. Even that, what Julie was saying is that has to expand exponentially. But to bring people into resonance takes a leap. And we are going into a leap. Look at us, like Linda was saying. And planet Earth and its inhabitants is in the moment of that leap. And it's not very well being identified because of the old one step at a time systems are not going to cut it. We are now dealing with an energy field. We're not dealing with papers and pens anymore. And in our beings, we are now really on the cusp of knowing that we are the energy field itself. And that's what resonance is. And we're going to move there whether we're part of it or not. It's already in the books, folks. We are going to find and experience and become our resonant, our energy, the energy field, more than we will the physical eventually. We're on the cusp of something really huge here, and it's a leap. And so we get to be a leap together and be that model, be that prototype with anything that we do. So that part of it's pretty doggone exciting. I rest my case.
Let me put an exclamation point on it for you. Today, the topic of the show was the integration of science and spirituality. And still to this day, here you have Jude Currivan and Greg Braden who are saying the same thing. And they're saying exactly what we're saying today. And they're saying it from science. And Greg acknowledged that even all the scientists who are in the old incomplete science that isn't even true about the nature of our reality are hanging on to it because it's easier. Because to let go of the old science is that leap that you're talking about, but to let go of the old science changes everything. And that's what we're here saying. It's safe and it's okay to change everything. Let's take the leap. So what we do, to put the exclamation point on, John, which I think is really important, and we should transcribe this, because what we're doing is creating that practice and pathway that we talk about with Heart Resonance, is that direct experience of where science and spirituality meet, that direct experience of our inherent wholeness, the direct experience of resonance in the field, the direct experience of greater coherence, and what that feels like is what we're holding at the core of all of this that isn't here. It's here. But this is what both Jude and Greg talked about, is the wisdom that's here, the intelligence that's here, the cells that are here, and the intuition and the creativity and the da. So it was a great show today. And again, that would be a great class for anyone to tune into this show tomorrow as a mentoring steward and learn from. Like, all the shows would be great for mentoring stewards to tune into. And so I want to say that because we can put out all the science in the world, and there could be 3 more decades of science proving what we're talking about. There can be the top scientists on the planet proving it and writing about it and speaking, and still, if we just do it here, it probably will take how many more decades for that. The embodied experience is instant. And we can't make people have the spiritual experiences that we're talking about here. We can't make a mystic happen. There's lots of ways we could talk about states and stages of consciousness, and we can't make someone have a state of consciousness without the medicine, without drug induced. We can't, or out in a desert and dehydrated or starving. I mean, we could create conditions for those things to come forward, but it's not instantaneous the way we practice it. So what we're offering is an important piece that others aren't, but we have to really hold all of it so that we're holding the whole again, where we're holding the science with the Gregs and the Judes and we're holding it and honoring HeartMath and others who are doing the practice, and the Global Coherence Pulse, the Global Coherence Initiative, others. But we continue to teach from this core that not a lot of other people are teaching from, which is that direct experience. So the home frequency. So there's your exclamation point.
Just going to throw one direct example. The importance of direct experience. Ever since I was a little boy, I started out on a scooter and I went to motorcycles and I got the nicest car I could. And now I went to sports cars and I have a decent luxury car. And I went by a Tesla dealer the other day and I go, look at these damn, I mean, what are you kidding me? An electric car that's like, blah, 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 blah. And I said, all right, the hell with it. I went in and test drove a Tesla, and it blew me frickin' away. Quiet, faster than anything I've ever driven in my life. No gasoline. And I had the direct experience of the energetic field in a vehicle. And immediately they let me take it out by myself. And let me tell you, I know how to drive. I know how to do these things. And I took it out. I had the direct experience of the energetic field inside of me and outside of me. And there was a resonance there. And I go, we're changing the world, folks. But I could never get it if I didn't have the direct experience of it. I could talk about it and somebody could try to talk me into it. You could give me all the facts and figures. Oh, the Tesla does this, blah, blah, blah. I go, okay, well, that's great. But I know what I like. I know what I've always done. And you're not going to take that away from me. I'm going to trade my cars in for a Tesla. I just, it's like, I'm going to take that leap. And it's not my macho self, Oh, a Prius. Let's have a Prius. And all, it's all those old belief systems have to dissolve in order to take the leap into the new energetic existence. Welcome to Good of the Whole. There's my story.
I love that story. And I wonder, Julie, if you could allow me to share a screen.
Absolutely. There you go.
Here you come. Here it comes.
By the way, we didn't have an agreement on time, so I just want to put that out there if anybody needs to get off. We
You
probably
guys,
should pay attention.
Yeah.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. That's Tesla. Solar plus batteries plus heat pump plus internet plus car sharing plus 3D house printing plus what else? Join together to build Tesla global communities, permanently affordable, eco-positive, regenerative, residential and commercial properties for the good of the whole.
I love it.
That's how Elon communicates.
I love it.
He believes that his employees should not follow any kind of chain of command. If they want to reach him, they tweet him. Any employee can go to any manager that's either in their direct line or above them or across line or anywhere else they need to go to get their idea heard or problem solved. It's very interesting to watch what that one guy is doing in our planet. And he is, and he doesn't have the greatest personality, and isn't the best leader, manager, and all that, but the man is changing the paradigms of so many different things. And it's like, whoa, I have no clue about his spirituality. I know he goes to Burning Man. It's a big deal, but that's pretty crazy out there. But, his brother lives in Boulder, owns a couple of restaurants there. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see how it unfolds, but I think we are. Now our opportunity is to communicate this, this expanded leap taking and invite others to take this leap as well into our vision statement in a way that invites in risk taking and knowing that there's love and support and a safety net. And let's just go for it and let's see how far we can go. Infinite possibilities. And I want to suggest too on the revolutionary agreements, they are to be tweaked. So we've got total license to rewrite those. And at the very bottom, we can say something, reference maybe revolutionary agreements or Geneva Group agreements or whatever. But those really have to become ours. And Julie, you've taken a great initial step, and there don't have to be 12, there don't have to be 60, there have to be whatever that number is that's right for us. You know, Marion doesn't claim any kind of, I don't know, restriction or anything. It's like they're there to evolve and use, and well, you know, Linda, let's just take them and let's make them really serve our community. That we don't even know what our community is evolving to. So it's like, okay, infinite possibilities. So wide open, blow them out. Let's go.
It would be fun to let the community muse into how they would tweak them. I like them the way they are because they're already created. They're simple. They're easy. Everybody can, you know, it's already done. But yeah, bring that into our quarterly workshop and let them really play with it. Linda can facilitate that, or we can get Marion here as a guest person too. So, and will you share your little paragraph about Elon Musk with us in a text or an email or something? Send that to us. We'll hold that vision with you. Maybe we can get Tesla sponsored Good of the Whole something.
Well, that if they, you know, if they're sponsoring us, they're sponsoring Good of the Whole. This is us. You know, we're all together in this, and it's like, okay, if that flows together, you know, the guy's got a foundation. Although you can't find anything out about it, it is very, very private, but it's got plenty of assets. So infinite assets, really. I mean, the man is just crazy what he's doing.
You know, it was funny when I went into the Tesla dealer. There were two people in there. There was one car there. Everything is done online. They say, "You want a car?" And I go, "Well, here's one to test drive." I go, "Well, could I see some different models?" Well, there were only 3 models, and they said, "But we don't have them here. Just you go online." They gave me the thing. They say you kind of choose what you want, and you put your money down, and we'll tell you when it's going to show up. It was so simple. But here's what I wanted to say about our group and about because Linda, you were right. Friday is the residence council. What can we do? But I just got tuned into what this little conversation was. You know, essentially, I think some of the discord that I've been hearing, people have called or so forth, not that they actually named it, except for one person did, is that, look, we're just recreating a top-down model. We have you guys at the top. We're not getting all the information from you. Then we have these councils, but you have to buy into that and start at the bottom and work your way up like toward the top. And there's a separation amongst every one of those. So when you were just saying, musing into the agreements, maybe we say, hey, look, we are open to new models of organization to bring through the direct experience of the resident field to make a healthy organism. Muse with us. What do you see as a possibility for a different organizational model? I'm just showing that as an example so that the separation between those coming in and those that have been here for a while and us at the top, you know, that everyone feels the inclusion at any given moment. I kind of feel like that's what Elon has done. When I walked into the place, the gal's going, yeah, she had a mask on, I had a mask on, so I couldn't really see what she looked like. She goes, yeah, you know, Elon called us the other day and we had a chat about blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, wow. You know, so that communication at that level, I think, is really allows people to explore and own their sacred authority.
I also think we need to deal with the myth of that being so patriarchal and hierarchical, and we need to deal with the myth because it really isn't like that. And then really be really clear on why we talk about getting resonance so that it's not just without their embodied experience, then it's just this hoops that they have to go through or grow through or something. But I think that there's a myth. I mean, does anybody really feel there's a patriarchal, hierarchical organizational chart that represents us, that creates that greater separation? That's probably why they're feeling a lot of what they're feeling, is because we don't have that. They don't know where the buck stops, because the buck doesn't stop at the top. It's a new evolving organization. So yeah, I think that's important.
Good point. So do we set up a time to have this piece that we're talking about for the members and the people that want to be part of something?
You know, I was just thinking about mentoring stewards, and we're all mentoring stewards, and we have this structure where people join to be mentoring stewards. And the folks that are leading the connection field are just mentoring stewards that have stepped up to another responsibility. So in essence, to really recognize that as a single structure, a single organism of mentoring stewards is, I don't know if we do that in a formal organizational way. So it's just like, okay, can we blend somehow? I mean, everybody at Tesla knows they're part of Tesla. You know, they all take responsibility for making it work. They're all shareholders. And that's really seems like that's the outcome we're looking for, is that we're inviting people to come and be part of the whole and step up and take whatever responsibility is yours to take. And how is it we really enable and create a structure that enables that and define that in a way that, again, looking for new language and new sensitivities to that.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if the connection field team, is that what we're calling them? The council? Team? Council?
No, it's a connection field team.
The connection field team has taken on a sense of authority in the wake of shifts and changes. And I have no idea if this is true or not, but it kind of feels like it's a separate entity.
They don't really want it to be. They would love to be in contact with everyone here or have us show up at that connection field team, because they feel disempowered as a decision maker. I'm not a decision maker. I can't, basically the Zoom room. And I kind of feel like Good of the Whole is almost outgrowing the connection field, even though the connection field is such a part of it. They're still stuck on how can I get access to become a host, to help someone host. A few people have it and other people don't have it.
Can I bring in something? Because just remembered I forgot to talk to David Myers today, but I was talking to David Warzimar today. And I think this notion of the connection field being outgrown is, for me, it doesn't feel true at all, because it's a living organism. And when you're not looking at it as a thing, because when I listen to him and his experience and the unresisted experience, like, he is ecstatic. He's growing leaps and bounds. I remember David, even when John was nudging him in to be a mentoring steward, no way he was going, and it was because of the direct experience that he was getting in that, primarily in the beginning, in the Resonance Lounge, where it was being held not as a restriction, but as a loving, inclusive, safe space. And honestly, all those people had, at some point in the beginning, had that very same experience. And so I think it's no different than what Julie's been talking about and everyone's been talking about. It is an organism itself that's how it was created. I mean, I remember what it felt like to be a part of its, midwifing its birth, if you want to call it that. And it was a listening to the field. It was the field moved things. It was just like, it was the most extraordinary experience. And I think that, I don't know, I keep coming back to this one thing that was such a lesson for me, was there was one point where, I have to use the person's name because I only know, but Peter Melton, I've known him for years. I thought that he understood resonance. I really did. And even David Vorsimer and I were talking about that experience, and he experienced this, being a part of that experience. And it was like, oh yeah, sure, just come in and host a show, and this is how you do it, and just keep the resonance. This is how you hold the resonance. And he was like, yeah. And it completely was so off. It was completely his show. And we know what happened from there. And it was really interesting for me to listen to David talk about that experience of having come into that experience. And it taught me something. It was like, actually, there is a practice and a pathway. Now, how to do it without having people feel like, the hoops. I just think it's because we didn't have the clarity of being able to communicate the experience, the direct experience, why we would have them do something, or why would we invite them. Again, I think this is the part of the reorganization, but that experience and what happened with that experience, and how he took everybody out and never brought anybody back in, and how from that moment, Unity.Earth started creating the cafe conversations, exactly prototyped from the connection field. So it is, if we could, I'm just wondering, and just put this out to everyone, is just like, talk to it. Stop thinking of it as a thing. Talk to it. Ask it. I mean, this is something I've been learning from the grandmothers and working with native wisdom. Talk, and Linda, this, talk to the trees, ask them, they will tell you, hello, it's part of the resonant field. So ask the field. And know that it's a living organism, and it's trying to grow, and it's trying to work with those ones that have loved it and want to bring their offerings. And, so my sense is still going back to that place of, like, I don't know, today, just sitting in the silence. And if we just come together as a team and close our eyes and be quiet and have a few questions that we ask the field itself, we're going to be really profoundly affected. And I remember Michael Beckwith. Everyone know who Michael Beckwith is? Okay. Michael Beckwith had a visioning process. This goes back 20 years. And it was even though he didn't call it the resonant field, and he was taking people into that experience. And I think, again, this is part of the direct experience. And, so anyway, and I also think this is kind of a really offshoot, and I'm not saying to change it, but I think when we started calling ourselves, when we called ourselves the Advisory Council, there was a lot less resistance. When we started calling ourselves the Executive Leadership Council, which bothers the crap out of me, and anyone who has any issue with authority is going to rub up against that. They aren't going to like that. And how much of that percentage is what's going on in that group? I'm sure it's a part of it. I don't know what the percentage is, but to me, it's like, stay on track. Yeah, that's all. I'm complete.
I agree with that, Shelley, completely. That maybe we shouldn't call ourselves to them. If that's something legally that we have to do because we're not for profit, then we're the ELC. Otherwise, Advisory Council seemed a little more welcoming. And they just want to feel like they're part of it, and not that it's not a hierarchy. We're really sensitive to it because we don't want it to be a hierarchy. We don't want it to be that old skin. And that's how they're looking at us. And we're trying to go, no, don't look at us that way. But that's the reality. So I think, just like with David Vorsimer, just let's be with these people. I'm having beautiful private conversations. It takes a little bit extra time out of our day, but then they feel welcome and they feel connected and valued. So we cannot be unreachable. I find that that's helping. And if each one of us is in resonance with whoever we're talking with, they're gonna get it. They're gonna feel it. They're gonna know they're loved. So that's our job. That's my job. It's our job. What are you pointing? What are you pointing at?
Well, along that line, I mean, I was one of the sort of the instigators maybe of creating that, and I'm okay giving that up. And then I can have a title that relates me to the board of directors or something that works with, you know, the people that I'm dealing with. But I'm a unique special case in that place, and I certainly don't need to be that here.
So can we let the people know on Friday that we are going to set this thing up?
I hope so. I really hope so. Let's pick a date. And what does this do to the Mentoring Stewards Wednesday call? It doesn't do anything, but we can certainly keep promoting it. It's like we've got a day for you, and then we set the day, and then we ask the field to help us know what.
Linda, what if we allowed ourselves to be flexible and picked a Wednesday Mentoring Stewards call and extend it and have that be is that a good time to do it, or do we need to do it like on a Saturday?
I think it needs to be, to really create it the way, this is just me, I feel like in order to really create it as something special, it's done on the Saturdays and Sundays are pretty wide open, and that we just commit, you know, it's like it's a mini retreat, and we're offering them a mini retreat, and it's not part of the week, and it's, you know, I don't know, I think we should just, maybe we should just look at a calendar and decide how much time and what we want to give to that. And yeah, I don't know, that's my.
Well, I had this vision the other day. The most important thing that set me into this course of being with you masters was the retreat at Julie's place. And so I'm still thinking, can we do a virtual retreat? Maybe it's just a full day, maybe one full day or something, and really line up. I mean, Julie, you were talking today. Wow, how about taking a couple clips from your radio show with Braden and
Jude.
Yes, and Jude, or something, and really plan out an exquisite expression infiltrated with direct experience of resonance, and call it the good of the whole retreat, and allow everybody to know and have a day. I don't know when that would be, but you know, that's just another piece.
You know,
Oh, sorry, Linda.
when the Caravan of Unity went through Minden, it was on a Wednesday. And everyone else just stepped aside. We said, this Wednesday is a special day. It's all day. Put your focus here. Why can't we do that with a retreat? This particular 11/11 or Sunday 11/22, you know, and say, this is the day.
Don't forget about Thanksgiving. You can't get anywhere near that.
Right. Okay. Well, all right. 11/11, 11/18. If we're going to do it soon enough.
I think we could put it together by then.
What's
But
11? It's a Wednesday.
It could be a Wednesday.
If
We would
it's-
have to talk to
if it's-
Joan. We would have to talk to the people who have Wednesday programs.
Maybe Joan leads the larger talking circle during those times. And then maybe
Yeah.
the whole thing is designed with sacred geometry, with numerology, with whatever is going on with the Mayan calendar that day. But literally it's designed around that. Because if we just say we're having a good of the whole retreat, they might go, I'm not going to attend a retreat. But if we, like, literally, this is our response to the chaos or coherence question. Like, so the connection field team feels valued, connected, and whole. So it's like, it's our response to them, but it's our response for the whole community. And then we have a lot of ideas rolling around already of different pieces of that day. And I'm sure we would all be happy to step in and do our own parts. And, you know, if it's reasonable time, we could get Greg to come in for 15 or 20 minutes or someone like that. So depending on when we do it and what the purpose is and our intention, holding it with evolutionary purpose. So I'm not saying a date, but 11/11 is cool. Everybody go, oh, I'm going to do 11/11. That's easy. Some people won't do a Saturday. Other people will do a Saturday. So I'm open. Excuse me, whatever. I'm complete.
The immediate first question, so that you're thinking about already, is going to be, what about the fire? And what about Julie's coherence?
And what
If
if we
it's
start after
the
that?
weekend, if it's on
Yeah.
a weekend, if it's on the weekend, there's less of a big deal because they already know there's less people that show up. But if it's on Wednesday, I'm just pointing that out. That is a major.
But look at Wednesday, if we started at 10 when our normal mentoring stewards is, and then we go through, there's nothing through Linda and my hailing field, and then there's Joan, which she could lead a talking circle for a part of the day.
That would
And
be
then it's Oriana.
She'll
for
let
the
go.
evening,
She'll let go.
So
and
the
Elizabeth.
but why, I mean, why would we be separating
Yes,
the
exactly.
fire and Julie down? Why
People,
can't they?
Julie, get on the
in the
get on the
whole?
table, girl. You're part of good of the whole.
Exactly. I don't think that we should separate and say, well,
Right.
you're separate, you do your thing in the morning, and then we'll start our
And
retreat.
then we'll start. Yeah.
No, I
I
think
totally agree with that.
it
So
should
wait a
be-
minute, you guys are talking both at the same time, and it's really hard to figure out what
I'm sorry. I got excited. I apologize.
The thought is to include the fire as part of the retreat as we start the day, and Julie down is included as someone in the retreat, not to keep them separate. As, well, you do your thing, and then we'll have the whole come together for the rest of the day. It should be exciting and inclusive so that every program that happens to be on a Wednesday, if we're doing it on a wonderful Wednesday, is included. So that was my feeling when you said, oh,
Well, then, okay, so I don't care, but then you've got to allow, then everyone has to show up for Oriana's The Pool of Wonder and the Rising Tide, because you can't,
well, but
I'm
maybe
just asking.
maybe they will yield their program to the whole instead of their own individual program that day.
But okay, I don't understand then. You're saying to me, I'm hearing, let Julie down do her thing.
No,
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
no, not even. I mean, why? You mean Julie would not surrender her piece for the good of the whole?
Well,
I'm not
she does
saying
take a lot of pride in the 100 and so many days in a row. So she could do a meditation for everybody and give her gifts in, but not hold the whole hour, so that it is more of the integration into the connection field. But also the same thing with Elizabeth and Oriana. Maybe they just have a micro piece to offer in for the good, or
Like
Yeah,
Greg Braden would have a
out
micro
loud.
piece, and Jude would have a micro piece, and we make just a one-day thing. How beautiful it was in the Caravan of Unity. I mean, everyone was focused. Now no one has to travel. We're all here. We're doing it on Zoom, and the focus is whatever we come up with or whatever. We're guided to say, here's the focus. But it is about coherence, and it's about holding that resonance all day long. It's the practice of having conversation, having conscious conversation. And, you know, one day is one day. We'll just fill it. We do a full day at your house. We'll break for lunch. We'll all have a picnic lunch together. This is our lunch hour. You know, what did you bring? I mean, the retreat is fabulous, but we filled the whole day and we were there together.
Maybe we call it Coherence Day for the good of the whole.
Mm.
I mean, I just don't get that energy. It's like, have it on Monday, and I talk to my guys. I go, guys, we have this incredible opportunity. We're not going to do our normal stuff today. There's something much more big going to happen here, and we all get to be part of it together. Holy cow! How great is that?
Yeah, I like that.
I agree.
Well, I'm getting that this is going to be just kind of an open platform, not just for mentors, but for the broader collective community. So we might have a number of new people if
Oh,
we do that.
Oh, there we go.
Anyway, is that our intent to open it to whoever shows up?
That's a good question, Glenn.
I say yes in the connection field because it's a big, long orientation process for us. And we talk personally with those on the connection field team to know that this is, you know, our time, that we're hearing them, and this is an important piece that we feel is helpful and is a benefit. And then we design it around that. For all hosts, for all participants, for all those.
Yeah. When is this going to happen?
Ah, good question there. But we use breakout rooms, and we can do a lot of that kind of thing as well. So,
11/11 is Veterans Day. 11/11 is a cool number.
Gives us 2.5 weeks.
yeah, that's pretty quick. to get
Which is
this
really
together.
2 weeks. What do we want to pull together?
That's pretty quick.
Why is that so too quick?
And there's likely to be a whole ton of events on 11/11 for
Yeah.
all sorts of different communities. Just thinking about all the different spiritual communities doing stuff.
Well, the 18th is the following Wednesday. If we're going to do Wednesday. Means life. 18th letter of the Hebrew alphabet.
Are we okay doing a midweek thing given people's work schedules and things? Is that gonna become an obstacle at all, or is it pretty flexible, you think, still, as a humanity?
Sundays, or what about, the 22nd is too close to Thanksgiving.
What's the date of the Saturday around the 11th?
The 21st, 11/21, 11/21 is the Saturday before.
The 14th.
The 14th. If we want to do a weekend,
Linda brought in Wednesday on the 11th, Glenn, because everybody showed up for the
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing.
the other event. So, but I think maybe we poll them tomorrow and see our primary mentoring stewards who come prefer a Saturday or a Wednesday.
that's a great idea.
Do a full day
Yeah,
event.
ask them.
Can I want to just bring in something that I feel like it's really important to really be really clear about what is not just the intention. I mean, it is the intention, but also what the effect is, what we want, or why are we coming together? Because you can just throw a date at them or ask them to do a date, and they're going to ask you like, well, what is this all about? And if we're not clear, if we don't have the same bubble of expression of what it really is, it's really a learning day together. It's a day to learn about distributive leadership. It's a day to learn about come deeper into the resonant field. It's a day to understand coherence. It's a day to, experience some of the tools that are right within our community. I mean, I'm just throwing some things out, but in terms of coherence, to me, I wouldn't want someone coming to me and going, oh yeah, well, I got the dates. Well, what are you talking about? What is this really? Because they are really, I mean, from what I'm hearing, they really want to know. They are very serious about where, minus all the, discordance, but sincerely, they want to know. So you can't just go like, oh, what day do you want? Unless you actually can be able to express very clearly, after listening to you and after us coming together, that we realize some things, and we're going to create a day where we can learn some of these things that are going to create a more coherent community and give you what you're looking for at the highest, in the highest way, in the highest level. I'm just making up language.
No, just, can I interrupt you? Because I think the field's speaking. So I don't think you're making up language. I think you're speaking. And
I agree.
it's community coherence, developing our evolutionary toolbox for the good of the whole. And the evolutionary toolbox is one of those mentoring steward benefits. So that we're developing the mentoring steward, or developing the evolutionary toolbox. So you just said that, you just listed all these tools, Shelley. So what if it is community coherence, developing our evolutionary toolbox, so that everyone is learning these new tools, and it's the beginning of this grounding force of really important concepts, principles, and it becomes a page on the website, it becomes links to different pieces, it becomes very informative, educational, but it's the beginning of that evolutionary toolbox that we co-create together. Even teaching about co-creation, many people are using that word and really don't understand how co-creation is really about tuning into that impulse of evolution and listening. It's resonance, it's coherence, it's what we're talking about. So I like that, community coherence, developing our evolutionary toolbox, but that's what I heard, Shelley, when you were talking, and I'm open for other pieces that want to come through.
And that, I had the thought the other day. I mean, I've started to put together a little outline of all of those pieces, Julie, what you were just mentioning. Not all of those, but a lot. And I wonder if each one of us did that, and we, I don't know, put it on the Trello board, and a vision that's coming through that addresses exactly what the evolution of Good of the Whole is right now, considering all of the pieces that we have been working on now for a couple of days to be addressed, and the leap. And I haven't started a time frame of, okay, if we're going to do 4 hours, now if we have a full day, but what would be most effective, I think, to get this done in a 4-hour period? How much would be given to resonance? How much would be given to such?
So here, Julie already gave it to us in the morning. The morning is about the organism. The afternoon could be about the organization, and I mean, this is just one way to look at it. And then it's perfect because Joan's circle, if we can ask her, to allow people to speak. So she's going to, to hold a talking circle and then come together as a community, because it's actually building community. To me, it's like, getting, you know, it's getting clear about the things that we're talking about. Well, what is resonance? You know, so I could see each hour being developed, you know, actually building. I mean, it has to build coherence, because we're building, they build upon each other, right? And I mean, again, I don't have the whole picture, but I feel like there is a, it's already there. Like, imagine that it's already there and people are already having this experience, and they're understanding, coming more deeply into distributive leadership, and they're, you know, and anyway, I just feel like so the toolbox is interesting to me. I'm not sure that it totally expresses the coherence, but you're saying community coherence, or building a common unity, building our common unity. We're building community together by the things that have been, and honoring what would have been so important to us, and having them understand why we're standing by that. The coherence, the resonance, you know, it's been very clear what's come into the field is distributive leadership. Like, let's go deeper into these, you know, so maybe each hour is some type of presentation, and then it's an experience, and then there's a 15-minute circle at each hour or whatever. But to me, it's gotta be taking everyone somewhere. It's not like these stark different, you know, hours. Like the Connection Field is set up like that. It's, you know, and I think, you know, the Resonance Lounge piece is important, helping people to understand why we feel like, if we're together and we feel clear about, you know, we're all on the same page, they're going to get it. They're going to feel that. Right. So so I'm complete.
All right.
Love all the language. And I feel,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
Glenn, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'd love to have some things in there that are for us, that are going to stretch us, you know.
Well, let's just have Elon Musk. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go. Yeah, exactly. The Elon Musk of the world. And so, just so that, you know, we're going to learn alongside of everyone else. I mean,
Yeah, and that's why I've been
we're part of the
listening to this
community.
language of for them. Let's do it for them. There is no them. You know, it's when we say us, it's not the five of us. Us is the good of the whole.
Sorry, I agree. I just, because I don't know hardly anything about distributed leadership. That excites me. Like, okay, tell me more, explain more to me, you know? So yeah, I agree. It's the whole shebang, we used to say.
The whole enchilada.
What if we were to invite all of the people who are active in the Connection Field to do a little presentation of 10 minutes throughout our day, so that their voice is heard? It would have to follow a theme, or not, but to have them feel included is to send an invitation, invite them to be a participant for some section of the day or throughout the day. 10 minutes out of an hour, we offer to Oriana, so she can explain in 10 minutes her thing to those who've never experienced it, or Elizabeth, you know, she can explain what it is, or the Tuesday night, you know, Earth Resonance, because not everybody has been to everything in the Connection Field. You can talk about your offerings or not, but just the experience of what has happened since the Connection Field started. And you're right, it is like these separate things that people said, oh, I want to host it, this is my thing, this is what I'm going to do. But what we want to do is bring it together so that there's the big picture of we're all doing our thing for the good of the whole. And if everyone can hear what everyone else is offering, it might make it, they could feel more valued and accepted.
I have an idea. So we did this in the co-creators convergence, Linda, and maybe you remember from Julie. Like, just set one of those hours is people, but with a little, maybe a little bit of form, or inviting them to really bring forth what, you know, something in particular, and then share their thing. But I mean, you could just have 1 hour set up where that everyone, you know, I mean, it's tricky because a lot of people aren't hosts. They're just part of, you know, that gets very tricky because we've got 40 or 50 people that, you know.
Right. Let's, you know, what I'm thinking is I just want to do away with any separation. I don't want there to be a host and then just a person in the connection field.
So
Or
here's
some-
how do we communicate that and live that and honor that while honoring the vitality code? And I say that because not everyone is encoded with what needs to come in its purest form right here, right now. Not everyone holds the codes. Not everyone has the same skill level of delivery. Some people, I'll tell you, I'll just give you one example. I'll give you two examples, but I don't want to name names. But literally, if Don Pett says, I want to do that, Connie's going to go, what? And Connie will leave and say, I'll be back in an hour, you know, whatever. So when I say that is, how do we become the solution of this that knows we have to bring through the purest of wisdom aligned with that designing intelligence of what really needs to be embodied now and delivered in a way. And if you think about the vitality code, everyone gets precisely what they need. Not everyone is a superstar quarterback. Not everyone is the prom queen. Not everyone is the movie star. And I'm saying that because there's the fame that we all look at, like, I want my time, or, you know, it's like, not everyone is gifted in this way. And everyone needs to get precisely what they need. And we have to bring in that impeccable coherence to the codes and the designing intelligence right now, because the planet needs us to do that, to contribute to the coherence and not the chaos. So yeah, I can tell John jumped in here and moved forward, so I'll be quiet for a second.
No, I just wanted to say I am on board with that. I started going down the list of people, and I thought, well, if that does happen, I will have a couple-hour break in there that I'm not going to listen to.
I think if we remember, Linda, like, I know because you have this really soft heart for all those individuals, but if we can remember what the purpose of this day is, and if
Yeah.
we can express it, the idea is that the main thing is that we're getting everyone on the same page.
Yeah.
And to trust that, like Julie's saying, they're going to get exactly what they need by us listening to the field of what needs to be brought in on that day. It's not just us teaching, you know, we might have somebody else teaching, you know, distributive leadership, or, you know, Joan Henry, you know, I mean, it's what's more important is the pieces that come in to create the greater whole, that they can leave feeling whole, and they will feel like they've been heard and felt, because that's what the field does. Do we trust the field? And if we can just really encourage them to come and be in a learning field with us, you know, and that for 8 years, it's not that it's a planted idea, but this created the experience that they originally had. And so now we're going deeper into it. So it's much more of an immersion. I see it as an immersion day. It's an immersion day. Maybe
Right.
it's,
Oh, immersion.
huh?
I thought you said emergence, like an emergency.
No, immersion, like an immersion. We're all emerging. We're emerging.
Immersion.
We can blend in.
I feel it. I'm going to get tons more than I even can imagine out of it. because the field is coordinating it.
So as we're speaking, it's like that the individual hosting programs is dissolving. I would like to see it dissolve for that day, and we all come together, not presenting our programs. I know I just threw that out as an idea, but
I think it's perfect.
it
Yeah.
feels right to have everybody, Julie, drop your meditation, do your meditation, at midnight if you need to, or whatever it is, or 4 a.m. But this is a day where we come together pure, like with no, I'm not selling my program, you need to come to this. And we're just evolving beings coming together to experience what that is together.
Yeah, just talking about what it is. It's an immersive learning day where we're building our toolboxes, understanding more deeply why the field has, why Good of the Whole has, held this for so long, and how good it feels. Yeah. I mean,
And they're going to be people that are going to drop in and just not even know that this is going on, but they're just going to come in because they know it's here, and then they'll just appear and see what they see.
and
Yeah, I would also-
the digest will go out, and they'll have the whole, the whole enchilada of maybe it's really about unleashing possibility for this community.
Is it for this community, or is it for a wider community where we make an event on Facebook or Twitter, however you get the word out, that Good of the Whole is offering a day of community coherence, where it's not just the connection field people? Yes, John.
Well, I feel like it's two different things, simply because our immediate group needs attention, just like we've needed attention with each other here. And then maybe a separate piece that is for the larger community. And during that, I think maybe, Linda, you and I that have done these little videos, 6 minutes, to pop those in somewhere in an event like that. But this kind of feels like nurturing home, nurturing the family for a little bit.
I agree. I think it's
What
really,
the retreats always were, right? That's how the retreat.
Yeah.
I mean, it could even, this is stretching it. But it could be please register. We could have a registration it doesn't have to cost anything, but we are asking everyone who's participating so that we can know what the circles are going to be like, and that this is for you, or this is for us. Sorry, this is for us together as a community. But I think it actually might be a really good thing to do a registration. I don't know how you feel about that, but just a simple,
The registration.
I've got an Ohana Legacy thing at the top of the hour. Just to let you know.
Yeah, I'm kind of fried.
This was really good. I took a lot of those notes and put them on the Trello board. Let's just add to it.
Wait, okay. Do you guys, sorry, don't leave John right now, because I have been using something that is like the most instant transcribing process, and I've been able to take a video and get the transcript back in like about 3 minutes. Do you know what Otter AI is, Julie?
What's it called?
Okay, write this down. This is amazing. So Julie, just take this and you'll be amazed. It's called Otter, OTTER.ai. And you'll be able to take this video as soon as it's done, just drop it in, and you will have the transcript in less than 5 minutes.
Wow.
Remember how I sent you something last night? I just, like that. It's fantastic. It's really, it's not like, it's way better than Dragon. And you can get transcripts right like 2 minutes. And what I did was, you'll see when it comes in kind of in different lines, but you just highlight the whole thing and put it on a Word doc, and you've got the transcripts, and you can pull out what you want and what we want.
Wow.
It's very powerful. Yeah, it's great. So
Technology.
So I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that.
It's free, a service, a free service?
You get 600 minutes free. But after I've used,
Every month or just to start?
600 minutes, I think it's every month. But I mean, it has been so amazing that I haven't gone that one step farther to look at how much it is just to have the unlimited, but it's pretty, and I haven't figured this piece out yet, but we could be doing Zoom, right? We could be getting a transcript right now while this is happening live.
Wow.
And I've been trying, the problem is I was calling them all day yesterday and there's no phone contact. So, and it says you can do it, Julie, take a look, maybe you're better at this. You can have a pro account or a business account. And Tyson said he would help me, but you can make a transcript rolling while we're talking, right at the same time. So anyway, I just wanted to pass that through because I think it's going to take us so far. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
So we have a Mentoring Stewards call tomorrow. Do we have a date for this magnificent day that's evolving?
I think we should just stick with 11/11. I don't think it's going to take a lot of planning because I think, I mean, I think it's just going to, I mean, I bet we can pull it off in, next Monday. Just kind of feel into it, be with it. I think it's.
And how many hours are we talking about?
This is what was coming to me was like, like 3 hours. And then like we were saying, like a lunch break, a break for an hour and then come back 3 hours. And maybe there's an evening, something, a fun thing at the end of the day. But maybe in between each hour, there's a 5 or 10 minute break where people can just go to the bathroom before we start or something. But, or at least 2 hours break, 2 hours, something like that.
Well, I'm going to put some suggestions that I've been thinking about. I mean, for sure, I feel like we should have one where there's a breakout rooms where people can get together and put their stuff on the table and bring it back to the whole, and try not to maybe fit that into 1 hour, but maybe an hour and a half even, so that everybody has a voice.
I agree, because an hour is too short.
Too short.
So maybe every offering, like distributive leadership as an example, every offering is an hour, but there's a half hour at least of a breakout room where people can, it's just a thought, I don't know.
Integration time too.
Integration time, yeah.
Okay, put it in the Trello board. And what do you want me to put in the digest for tomorrow or the email for tomorrow? Are we going to ask them about the Wednesday, or are we going to just do it on Wednesday of every month? Just hold it as a
If
separate
we
day?
ask, we'll get a million different things. So
Yeah, and
I'm
there
gonna say this is the date. When somebody asks, has a program, they don't call me up and say, would it be better if we have our seminar on the day it's convenient for you?
So another thing is that our organizational structure doesn't have that primary liaison person for every host. So who's going to talk to our hosts? Are you going to wait till Friday's Connection Field team meeting? And then those that aren't there for the November 11th hosts, who's going to talk to Elizabeth, Oriana, Julie, the fire,
why
Amani?
don't we just talk about it tomorrow in the Mentoring Stewards, and then it goes, I mean, and then gets told in the Connection Field, whoever. I don't know. I have not been part of the Connection Field. I don't know anything. So
I'm
maybe
happy to talk to them if I'm clear on what that day is. Once we're,
I'm offering that maybe we're putting too much pressure on ourselves. That maybe we ought to think through the program, get it laid out in the chunks and the breakout rooms and who does what and that, and then pick a date that's convenient, that serves. I'm just concerned. Well, burnout, pressure, got to get this done creates a lot of angst. Are we putting ourselves in a pressure cooker that by choice?
I don't think it'll be that big of a deal if we just say about these three things: building community coherence, like coherence resonance agreements, or like if boom, 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 I think we could take 6 things and we're done. It's a practice, and it's like coming into that. And so to me, I don't feel like it's pressure. It doesn't have to be perfect, like Caravan of Unity, and having it to be show quality and if we're each doing our part, I feel like we'll be okay, but that's just my opinion. So I'd love to hear what everybody else thinks. Are we putting too much pressure on
I think the same thing. I think it's just, I think they need to hear something. And if they hear it tomorrow, they just hear that we've come together and this is for everyone and share it. Or, because I think if you share it into the wholeness of all the mentoring stewards, you're not just separating the people in the connection field team it's for everyone. And tomorrow, Julie, or just, send out a memo to each one of us, just kind of, wait, what's tomorrow? Wednesday?
Tomorrow's Wednesday, the 21st.
But just keep it simple. I mean, I was thinking about this. When we started this and we started coming together on Mondays, we had 3 objectives for years. Linda, see if you can remember. Simple, keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
Nurturing, and
Fun? It was fun.
fun. I think it was fun, right? Joy, yeah. And what?
And that was Marion inviting us into this.
Right. And it worked, like, let's just like
Feel
be
so
to love and just tell them, we're, that this is for everyone. It's for all of us to come together. And on Wednesday, the 11th, we're coming together for whatever the name is. We should get the name really clear. And it's an immersive day to learn together and develop our toolbox together.
I think that's great. And really, look at it this way. I want to really listen to what Glenn just said. Here's the easy thing. I'm already on Zoom with Good of the Whole 15 hours a week. I'm in with a whole bunch of people, different people that come in. They come on calls with all of us and others. Our basic format works. Come in, do resonance, allow the field to speak and bring it through. We just form a container for the things like Julie, you just said, 3 things, 4 things, 5 things, whatever. In my men's group, they said, John, when you host and come in and we do resonance, which we do each time, will you actually, Ken said this, will you have a question? I go, yeah, that's Ken. And so that they had something to move toward. Okay, so I think our format can be pretty simple. We already do a lot of it.
Awesome. I got to run. It's time for me to go on to my next thing. So here we go.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thanks, Glenn.
Okay, thank you all. I think we do need to bring this to a close. Me too.
Me too.
Yeah.
Peppermint on your head, rub on your back, Shelly. It's like, oh my goodness.
Thank you. It's been a really beautiful call.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're resonant.
yeah. Okay, pressure's off of having to organize ourselves.